person is an industry plant. Oh my goodness, show me the proof. Here's the proof. Okay, then I'll stream her music the next day. Industry is Disney Channel. That is the plant that you're talking about. You can be an industry plant, and I'm going to water the plant. Like, I'm going to, the reason I'm wearing green, right, is because I have green fingers. Like, because at the end of the day, capitalism is going to capitalize. Her dad is part of the Grammys Association, but all
and it goes a little something like
Hi guys, welcome to my review lifestyle and academia channel. My name is Agapé, like the love. If you're new here, then hi, welcome. This is a safe space, except if you're an industry plant. But if you're not, welcome back. As you can tell by the title of this video, I'm going to be discussing and talking about industry plants. If you're someone of the internet and you're like really involved within like stan culture or whatever, then you're very much familiar with the term. But for people who aren't and want to know, an industry plant is someone who presents themselves with this whole like homegrown, started from the bottom, now we're here type of relationship to fame and like to rising up. However, they actually have either a really large indie label that's pushing them, or just like a normal major like record label that's pushing them, but it's sort of like on the low key, and they sort of rise to fame. And I think the idea of an industry plant is somebody who rises to fame and it's unusual, and you can't really explain as to how they got there, they just sort of did. So now that we know what industry plants are, I'm going to be discussing why this has become like this huge thing and why it has such a major backlash, the problems that arise with industry plants, and also discussing using some people as examples to discover if they are industry plants or not. And so yeah guys, I hope that you guys enjoy this video and you should carry on watching. But before I get into the crux of the video, if you want to like, comment and subscribe to this channel if you enjoy the content, that would be really greatly appreciated. Okay, let's get back into it. I think that the reason why there's been such a huge backlash with regards to people being industry plants and this accusatory language that has gone around, people who find success at a rather quick rate or an unexpected rise, right, is because us as a society, we love a rags to riches story, almost to a fault. We want this started from the bottom, now we're here. We want a starving artist turned and being discovered, and just this elaborate story, this feel-good story that almost connects you with the artist, to allow for more relatability. And us as people, we really like that. To the people that we have propelled within certain industries, not even just the music industry, but just in entertainment as a whole, within sport, within media. Like, the reason why this idea of an industry plant has been such a big backlash is because people are almost like, are almost upset that isn't the story that has been told. I think that has a lot to do with why we get such a big backlash, because people really want that I struggled to get here and now I'm here, rather than labels and executives and family that I know sort of like pushed me to that level. Because we also have to understand, a lot of people who consume music aren't in the upper echelons of society, right? We want that relatability that we can get not only when you're listening to an artist and the lyrics that they use to express their emotions and feelings and everything, but also the story that it took for that artist to get to where they are. I think that also plays a really big role in the way in which we consume and listen to music. Okay guys, so I'm gonna give you guys some examples of people who may or may not be industry plants, but you can make that decision for yourself. But also, a lot of the times it's very tricky to spot somebody, because it's like, if they have ties with people in the industry or not, maybe they might or might not be. A lot of the times we're making speculation of like stuff that we know, but isn't that everybody? Like, isn't that all we do, right, on the internet? Like, that's literally what we do. Also, if I look down, it's because my laptop is here with notes, right? Okay, so one of the first people that we have Billie Eilish, the I think she's 6-time now Grammy winner. If you don't know who she is, I do not know where you've been, but she's the Ocean Eyes singer, the Bad Guy singer. Like, she's been all over the place, right? The thing about Billie started doing music when she was age 13. I think by 16 or 15. By 16 she released like a mini album. By 14, 15 she was doing little tours and stuff like that, right? And she has definitely gone up to like the upper echelons of music, right? But this wasn't always the case. And I think people started getting really curious as to maybe she might be an industry plant, like yes or no, when she just started to rise up to like immense popularity in 2019, like towards the as soon as this was actually even before she released her album. It was after Ocean's Eyes that things sort of really just catapulted her career, right? But the problem that people have, and why people think that she is an industry plant, right, is because she did an interview for Vogue and for Interview magazine, right? And she gave 2 different accounts to how Ocean Eyes was created, and that was the song that Interscope Records signed her from. And she didn't have prior she had a few songs on SoundCloud before that. There were like 3 other songs, but it didn't have the same like writing like rigor that Ocean Eyes had. And people were very confused as to why like Interscope, something that's so like a major record label, will sign an artist that there wasn't really that much like proof that Billie was going to become Billie Eilish. Do you see what I mean? Like I thought Ocean Eyes was a nice cute song, but I didn't think that is who would become who this person is today. Another thing is that people like are wary of this is because Billie Eilish's parents, Maggie and Patrick O'Connell, they were in the industry, they were actors. So one side it could be like they were in the industry, they were actors, we don't really know about them, and that would mean like they weren't really that big. And I've read some articles and it says that like the mother had to go to teaching because she wasn't doing acting anymore. But then on the other side you could say that even if you aren't actively in the business, you still have the ties to the industry. Like I could be somebody who I could have gone I could have done acting here and there, but I could know someone who knows someone who knows someone who could get me a seat at the table, right? Don't touch my hand. Sorry, I'm thinking of that song. So sometimes it might not be somebody who the thing about industry plants, oftentimes we look at the parents and it's like, oh wait, but that person's parents isn't like majorly successful, where it's quite obvious. It doesn't need to be obvious. There just needs to be a tie to the industry and somebody that could get you somewhere, right? Like if you think about like looking for a job, it's like, oh, my uncle knows someone who knows someone, right? It could be as easy as that. And so people have precautions with Billie Eilish because they think that she very much well could be an industry plant. Phineas, her brother, has come to her defense, but it's like, that's your brother, of course your brother's going to defend you. That's not really credible to me. So a lot of people do think that Billie Eilish is an industry plant. Yeah. Another person that I wanted us to focus on is her, and she goes by her, but her name is Gabby Wilson, right? Gabrielle Wilson. She has most recently won 2 Grammys. Like in the Grammys that just had happened, she won for R&B song and song of the year, and she also won an Oscar, which is she's halfway through the EGOT without having a debut album out. And like if you say that to somebody that like they have 4 Grammys, her has 4 Grammys and she has yet to release her debut album, that's absolutely insane. Like you saying that already like rings bells. I'm like, how did this person get here? Like how did they get here, right? People were very shook. But thing about her is immensely talented. She plays like numerous instruments. She went by her name Gabby Wilson. She went by her name when she was younger, and she was on Disney's like next big thing, like that. She had a record label when she was 14, but then she sort of like disappeared. And then recently when she came back with her like new name, right? And I can't remember what. Yeah, she came back with her new name. But I think with her, the problem that it has is that like she often wins award. Like when she won Song of the Year, I was very like iffy about that, because she won it for a song called I Can't Breathe. And really, I feel like the Grammys like to award like struggle songs, because I feel like, I'm being biased, but I think that Say So should have won. Like Doja Cat should have won something at this year's Grammys, because of how big she was in pop culture and how she really like did it. Like Doja Cat was a part of a really big shift in pop culture. So I was really iffy that her had won the Grammy. And as soon as it was announced, I remember doing a live tweet of the Grammys. As soon as her was announced, people were like, yeah, she's definitely an industry plant, because we do not understand, like we don't understand how that happened, right? We were like, everybody's confused. And then there was this rumor that was going around. There was my throat. There was this rumor that was going around that had like her dad is part of the Grammys Association, but all of those things are kept really like hush hush. So I couldn't do further like digging into that, whether that is the case or not. But I also feel like with her, and this also ties to Billie, there aren't people that are very like accessible to, and so with her is extremely mysterious. She first came doing the very baggy thing and everything like that. So I feel like one could also say that a lot of these people draw suspicion because we don't know everything about them. They're very like, I will tell you what I want to tell you. And I think us as a society, like parasocial relationships is really killing my people, because we feel like that we're entitled to knowing everything about people, and when they don't share those things with us, we're suddenly like, why is this the case? But on the other side, she could very much well be an industry plant, and I was very wary of her. I was like, I don't know, hey, even though she has had has had incredible like what is the word, like people who are like really astounded and very well known, like musicians have said, what's the word, like, you know, when it's like let me get back to it, like Elton John and Prince, and I can't remember who else. A lot of other people have really said pleasant things about her, but yeah, it's one of those things where like if you're mysterious, people get annoyed that you're so mysterious. Like they want to know more about you, and if you don't give that to them, they suddenly raise their suspicions about how about the validity of your. Another example of somebody who people think is an industry plant is Olivia Rodrigo. First of all, the industry is Disney Channel. That is the plant that you're talking about. Because if you think about Olivia Rodrigo, I would not call. This was the thing that I was talking about earlier on, in terms of like, it might not be like somebody who like pushed it to success, but right now, like with the it might not be like one record label, but the hold that Disney has, I feel like we often underestimate the power of Disney Channel. There's a reason why people were calling Disney Channel, they weren't even calling it Disney, they were calling it the mouse, like as a company, as a corporation. Like people underestimate. I feel like one of the problems to a lot of things is capitalism, right? The problem that we have with these industry plants that I find to be quite problematic is that we often focus on the artist rather than the environment that's put in place in order for the artist to in order for the artist to rise, right? We think of industry plant, and our first response is to think about the artist and not the industry that planted them. And so what I mean by that is that we have poor deals that leave artists in vulnerable positions, right? We know how, we can even tie this to what's happening with Taylor Swift and Scooter Braun and that whole situation, of how a lot of artists can be left really vulnerable in certain situations, and sign contracts that they sometimes don't really know much about, right? And become this vessel for capitalism to just fuel, and once they become the next big thing, more money goes into the pockets of the execs. Like we can be on Twitter arguing and fighting about why this person is an industry plant or not, but at the end of the day, the person who's managing Interscope or who's managing whatever record label, they're gonna be sitting with the money that they have because they signed these artists. So I feel like sometimes the conversation can be rather redundant, or rather like it can go in circles, because yes, maybe they are an industry plant, right? But what good, like what good do we do when we vocalize that? Because at the end of the day, capitalism is going to capitalize. Like the people in power are going to get what they need to get. I don't know if that makes sense. Like I feel like more productive conversations can be had with regards to how up and coming artists can be put in positions where they can maybe go independent, or they can have like, they can start owning their masters up front, instead of going through like large custody battles in order to be able to receive your masters. Do you see what I mean? Like the conversation can actually become a little bit more productive. But if it often starts with, this person is an industry plant, oh my goodness, show me the proof, here's the proof, oh okay, then I'll stream her music the next day. Like we don't actually have productivity when we complain. Shocker. But it would be interesting to see the conversation actually shift towards a more productive and one that actually helps up and coming artists. Like we know if you go on Twitter and somebody has a viral tweet, right, we see the tweet underneath is usually them promoting something. Like we have all these people at our like disposal, right? We have these up and coming artists, and I think it would serve people a greater service if we just shift the conversation a little. Another thing that I also want us to discuss, right, is the fact that these things are happening regardless. And the way that I'm going to explain this example, I hope that you guys stay with me, right? Okay, so we have one person who is an industry plant and we're so mad, oh my goodness, they're an industry plant, they have their fathers in the business that help propel them. Okay, whatever, right? We have the people who are industry plants and we have people who aren't industry plants but are in the industry, right? I want us to think about record labels and how certain record labels, and this isn't something that I'm just making up. This has been something that has been that has actually been what is it, like research, and journalists have gone and written articles about this. This isn't just me discussing, right? But certain record labels put music into certain playlists. I'll give Spotify for an example, right? If you want your song to have a lot of streams, or on Apple Music, you're going to put like a new song maybe that came out for like a new releases Friday, right? You'll put that song into different playlists, and the song that's in different playlists, more people are going to be able to see the song as they click that playlist to just listen to more music. It might be like up and coming pop, or new releases, or something like that. But in order to get there, record labels have to pay to put that in the playlist, right? The more streams that song gets, potentially that could reflect in the person, like somebody going on YouTube to going clicking on that video, to searching the video of that new song, right? It could affect radio airplay, right? And then by doing that, that could affect what the Billboard Hot 100 looks like. So my question is that yes, we can focus on the people who have might have gotten their way to that and being in the industry, but capitalism and like paying your way to success, this happens regardless. Like this is something that has been happening. On Stan Twitter, there's this term that people use. It's like payola or payola. I don't know how you pronounce it, but I think it's just like money in, it might be Portuguese, or it might be, I don't think it's Spanish. It might be Portuguese. I know that a lot of Brazilian fans speak Portuguese, so it might just be Portuguese, or it might be Spanish. Someone you can correct me at the bottom. But people always say that when artists suddenly do numbers, because this isn't a secret that depending on the management that you have, that can really impact how many people see your music, how many people hear your new releases, how well your album does by promoting it more, and by just getting it out there. So my thing is, it's like, yes, we can have industry plans, but the industry is going to industrial I'm like, capitalism will capitalize, the industry will industrialize. No, but like this is something that is still going to happen. Like it's going to happen regardless, right? It's going to happen regardless. There's always going to be like this is a machine. Money is going to be paid in order for a certain song to be in certain playlists, and thus like affect everything. And another problem that arises when we discuss industry plants and the criticism that we have towards them is oftentimes misogyny is a really prevalent thing within the discussion. Like I feel like we can't have a productive discussion about industry plants without recognizing that oftentimes and I'm saying misogyny because oftentimes it's been redirected towards a few artists that I'm going to mention later on when I talk about the examples of who could be an industry plant and who couldn't, right? But oftentimes it's these angry men on Twitter or on Reddit that are complaining about the newfound success of a young female artist, and they're like completely shocked. And what that does also, it's sort of like it does two things. It invalidates the person's work because it's almost saying that the only reason why you could get there is because you were paid, like somebody put money in order for you to get there. So it says like you're not talented. That's one thing that it does. But it also just, it's just really negative. Like, do you have nothing else to do? Like, genuinely, is there nothing else that you have to do that you rather find pleasure in going on the internet and invalidating a woman's like art and her creation? And I'm very much like, I'm okay with criticism because no one is above like criticism, right? But I feel like sometimes it can be really sexist in the approach that we have, and it can turn out, and a lot of the times the people who are recently, I should say this, recently the people who are often like at the like not even victims of this, but at the mercy of, not at the mercy, but like a lot of times this affects like non-white I mean non-male like people, and a lot of the times it's POC as well, who have already like have a history of not having really good relationships with record labels and being undervalued and signing weird deals and stuff like this. So I think we also need to ask ourselves, are we having productive conversations, and are they useful, or is it just, or are you just bored and you actually need to find a hobby? Like, I suggest reading. Guys, thank you so much for watching my video. If you do have any questions, I would love to answer them, and I would love to like engage with you guys. I feel like at the end of the day, we know what industry plants are. They can be very difficult to like look out for, but at the end of the day, right, if you're talented, I don't really mind. Like, you can be an industry plant and I'm going to water the plant. Like, I'm going to, the reason I'm wearing green, right, is because I have green fingers. Like, I'm going to plant, I'm going to make sure I'm going to harvest, I'm going to make sure that there's fertile ground in order for you to grow properly, right? Because you're talented. I feel like a lot of the times this can be, I can get criticisms about people who are industry plants that like, there's no way, like, bro, your music is absolutely horrible, there's no way you should be at that level of success, this is unfair. That I can understand, right? Because it's like, dang, capitalism really did capitalize, because there's people who have yet to even scratch the surface, to even get into a door to have a conversation, and those people are never going to be heard, right? Because it's people like you who you benefit from so many things, and the industry wants to like propel you, right? That I can understand. That I understand that there's fair criticisms because of that. But I'm talking about people who are genuinely talented, and so what, they found a way to be there. If they're talented, I don't really mind. The same thing can be said for different things. The privileges that people have to get into the places that they have, like, yes, we can discuss why and how they got there, but if they're doing a really good job, maybe they're doing a good job. I don't know. I feel like you can only discuss it within music, because when you discuss it within politics and other things, it can start to get really weird. But yeah, guys, I hope that you guys enjoyed my video. If you have any questions, as I said, please feel free to comment them down below. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.